Hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. We are. Look at I learned how to do this. Not perfect, but here we are. Y'all, this is about court altars. It might have to be more than one session. And I cut it down because it was like 180 something pages. Also, I'm going to have a workbook available for you guys if you guys are interested in that. And you already have your court altar, message me and I can email you the workbook, the court altar workbook. While waiting for people to jump in, I do have to share with you guys that, well, you guys have already gotten your court altar, but I do now offer a court altar mapping service. As you can find it right there. That's just your court altar and nothing else. But you guys already got the path map, so hi. You already know who your court altar is, or who your court is. Hi. So, if you have already gotten a path mapping and you already have who's on your court altar, you can message me and I can send you the workbook for what we're doing here. If you don't, and you don't want a full path mapping and you just want to know about your court altar, I do now offer that here in my where, and it's just your court altar. I'll send you same kind of thing as a path mapping. I'll send you the information, you fill it out, and we go from there, building your court altar team. So, also, as long as we're live, I do have my readings offered there. Remember that you can, before we start getting into this, we do got the angel deck. If anybody is feeling like they need a message from them, let me know. Free angel card. Again, it's the Be Not Afraid deck. Biblically accurate angels. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, if anybody wants an angel card before we get started, let me know. Just pop it down in the comments. Let me know. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, if you guys could just share this out. Got you, Kelly. I got you, Kelly. So you didn't get an angel per se. The the realm of powers, and right down here, do you see? Can you see what that says? Righteous boundaries. Righteous. Well, let's discuss that, Kelly. Let's discuss that. Those righteous boundaries. I don't think a discussion is needed. I think you already know. You know what they're telling you. Okay, so you got to stick to them, Kelly. You've got to stick to them. Okay, welcome everybody. If you're just jumping on, let me know. If you have not had a path map reading with me, let me know down in the comments and I can give you a little bit more explanation of what's going on here if you have not had a path map reading. Thank you, thank you. So, today we're going to discuss, again, all the readings are available. Today we're going to discuss the court altar. In my practice, specific to me, I don't know if it's all folk Catholic practitioners, but I know this is what I do. I have a court altar. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about knowing how to work it and what it is. And the analogy I'm going to use for this is like it's going to be like a judicial court system. Okay, I'm going to compare it to like a courtroom so that it's going to be an easy analogy. Hello, hello. So a court altar is essentially going to be, hi Rose, it's essentially going to be your spiritual courthouse. And inside that courthouse, when you go into a courthouse, there's different positions. Like every part of that courthouse has an office for this and an office for that, and everybody has their job. So before we start, there's a few things I want to establish. This session right here is going to teach you how to work with the court altar you have been given. If you do not have a court altar, I do offer that separately now. You do not have to have a full path map. You can get the court altar mapping alone, and we can work with you for that. But if you've already had the path mapping, you know who's on your court altar. This is not about changing who's on your court altar. This is just going to tell you how to work with those ones that are on your altar. Secondly, spiritual work does not replace practical action. So, disclaimer, if something requires doctor, lawyer, therapist, blah, 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 professional services, you still do that. Okay? I can't say I'm not a medical professional because I am. But this is about spiritual work. Hi. This is about spiritual work. I don't know how to make somebody a moderator. who wants to be a moderator? Because I do get some craziness in here sometimes. We'll figure that out. So this is about spiritual work. It is not about that. You thought you were? I don't know how to do it. I can make you one though. Here, let me. Okay. Actually, I don't know how to do that. So, hi. I don't know how to do that. Somebody has to learn me. Okay, click your name and then what? It doesn't give me the option. It doesn't. It doesn't give me an option to add a moderator. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we're going to go on with... I digress. See, y'all get me distracted. This is already a lot of information. A lot of information. Y'all can take notes or whatever if you want to, too. Okay, so this is not about practical action, okay? This is about your spiritual work. The court works alongside your life. Third thing. Hello. If I look, I have a lot of notes. Because I wanted to make sure I give you guys all the information, okay? Third, discernment is going to be a huge part of this. If you haven't mastered your discernment, that does not mean you can't work with a court altar. He's asleep right now, Colby. But you do have to know, not every dream is a message. Not every weird feeling is a spiritual emergency. And the purpose of learning about court altar is to become more discerning. Okay? And I do encourage you guys to take notes tonight because it is a lot of information. You don't have to memorize everything. Like I said, I do have a workbook available for you guys. If you already have your path map, you can message me. Or if you already know your court altar, if we've already done that, you can message me and I will send you the workbook. If you don't know who your court altar is, I do highly suggest you do that first, or the workbook is going to be useless to you. So, okay, so are we ready? Are you guys got your pen and your tap papers? I'm terrible at this. Got your pens and your papers and you're going to take notes, right? Here we go. Ready. Okay. We're going to start with what is a court altar, okay? A court altar is a physical working space representing an organized spiritual court. Thank you. The easiest way I can explain it to you guys is your court altar is the courthouse. Okay? The spiritual figures assigned to the different positions are the officials within the courthouse. Okay? And their position in that courthouse tells you their jurisdiction. And we're going to go over all this. See, I went to law school. See, I'm digressing again. I went to law school at the beginning of my educational career because I thought I was going to be a lawyer. So I do know a lot of big law words, but I'll explain it to you. Okay. So what is jurisdiction in this sense? Jurisdiction just means what does this office, what does this figure handle on your court? Okay, so just think about the legal system. Don't think too hard because it's terrible. But just think about it. You don't go to like traffic court to get a divorce. That would be crazy. You don't go to family court because you got a speeding ticket. They're all courts, but they handle different things, right? So your spiritual court works that same way. Different positions handle different types of matters. So, baby went out over here. When something happens in your life, your first question should always be, thank you. I'm trying to break it down for you guys. When something happens in your life, your first question should always be, whose jurisdiction does this fall under? Okay? You should never be asking first, who's the strongest person on my altar? Because let's say you have Michael on your altar, and you have, if you have Saint Michael on your court altar, and you have Saint Raphael on your court altar. Well, Michael's biggest authority is protection, right? Divine protection. Raphael's biggest authority is divine healing. So let's say you have a broken heart, a client with you have a situation where someone's heart is broken, whatever. You're not going to go to Michael first on that. Okay, you're going to go to the I didn't even think about it, Julie. You're going to go to the closest authority to that intention. So if you're dealing with something healing, you're going to go to your healing authority. And in this case, it's going to be Raphael, right? Now, if you have a problem with someone, like say you have someone who keeps trying to enter your energy, enter your space, and you're like, fuck off, okay? That would be an instance you can go to Michael. Divine protection, okay? But you're not going to go to Raphael and say, hey, they're trying to get in my brain and get in my energy, you know? Okay. So that's the first thing. Whose jurisdiction does this fart? Whose jurisdiction does this fall under? Okay? And you guys can feel free to ask questions in the comments. I am going to answer a lot of questions with this information that I have, but you can ask questions. I'll write them down, and as we come to them, I will remember. Okay. So now the next thing we're going to talk about is the court member versus the court office, and this is a very important distinction. The court member is the spiritual figure. Okay, that's going to be Michael, Raphael, Sekhmet, I don't know, Mary Magdalene, whoever that spiritual figure is, that is going to be the court member. Okay? Their court position is going to be their office. So like Michael's going to be protection, the protector, and Raphael is going to be the healing current. Mary Magdalene has a lot of different currents, so it just depends on what she falls under, but that's going to be their office, is the position that they fall under. The protective current, the healing current, that. So, example, think about an actual judge, okay? Judge, authority. The human being and the office of judge are not the same thing. The person has a whole life outside of the courtroom, okay? But when they're sitting on that bench, they are concerned about their judicial function. So then that same concept on your court altar. A spiritual figure, like we just said, may be associated with 20 different things. Like they may have many different currents that they can work with. But within your court, we're going to be asking, what office are they holding in my court? Raphael isn't just a healing current, but when I send you the information for this, it's a whole 30 questions that you fill out, and then it goes over each current when I'm scoring it. And Raphael may not come out as your healing current because he does have other currents. Michael may not come out as your protector current, because they have different currents. So two spiritual figures can overlap abilities without having the same court job, because technically Gabriel is a protective current. Michael is a protective current, but they are two separate types of protective currents. Michael is very dominant. He's very divine, spiritual authority protector current. Gabriel, on the other hand, is a protective current, but more in like the childlike way. He's the protector of children. Okay, so you see the difference there? So they can have overlapping currents, but they do it in a different way. If you have questions at any time, just throw them in the comments. If you're not following me, just let me know. Okay? So, are we understanding the difference between the court member and the court position now? Do we know the difference? Good. Okay. Now, it's a lot of information, guys. But I really, 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 really want you guys to learn this and apply it. And I really think people could benefit from having a court altar, because sometimes they're doing crazy things for the most mundane actions. And a court altar can kind of help weed that out. So, a court altar is not gotta catch them all. Okay, it's not Pokemon. We're not trying to catch everybody. And not every spiritual figure you love or venerate needs to have a seat on your court. Let's say that you are a Santa Muerte devotee. She has her own. That does not mean she has to be on your court. In fact, she probably rarely shows up on a court because she is very, I need my own space type of figure. Okay? But if you venerate Santa Muerte and you're a devotee of her, she has her own space. That does not mean that she has to be on your court. The people that are on your court, you may not have a devotional relationship with outside of your court. You might pray to saints who aren't on your court. You might have other spiritual relationships that aren't on your court, and that's okay. The court altar is not about devotion or veneration. It's about balance, checks and balances in your spirituality, okay? Okay, your spiritual seat means this figure holds a specific office within this organized structure. And that's why we just don't add everybody all willy-nilly. That's why I'm going to tell y'all God's honest truth. It took me about a year to come up with the court altar part of the questionnaire. because I really needed to see with your answers a very in-depth picture of your currents within yourself, to know which figures go where on your court when I do this. So that we're not adding people randomly. We're not just saying, hey, he is good for protection, and he's good for healing, and he's good for boundaries, and he's good for wisdom, whatever. And because that's what their main intention is, or their main correspondence is, does not mean you just added people all willy-nilly. Okay? Devotional altar versus court altar. I want to go over that just a little bit and make this distinction. A devotional altar is centered around your relationship with a particular spiritual figure. Let's take Michael, for example. It's about your relationship with Saint Michael. Okay? You come, you venerate, you give offerings, you chit-chat, you thank him, all that kind of stuff. Devotional altars, you pray to him, you do novenas, and his Lent is currently going now, and so you're doing all the things. That's a devotional altar. A court altar is different. So, I lost my train of thought. Did y'all see that? Multiple figures can occupy different offices within one structure in a court altar. So nobody can occupy a seat in your court altar. No. Somebody can occupy a seat in your court altar and eventually have a separate devotional altar. If that's what you want. Like, you can take someone off your court altar and venerate them. There's no... You can do that. You can take somebody you venerate and they'll be on your court altar. Most likely, at least one figure that you venerate will end up on your court altar because you have a relationship with them already. Okay? So, your personal altar represents your individual devotional relationship. Your court seats represent those offices. Can you bring me that water over there? Okay. Are you with me? Is everybody still with me? Do I still have you? I know it's a lot of information.
Speaking gibberish.
I think this is probably going to be more than one session because I don't care. I'm thirsty. I'm working hard and I'm thirsty. Okay. Remember, if y'all guys have any questions, you can pop them down in the comments. I'll write it down because probably I'm going to be able to answer that question eventually. Okay. Now, we're going to go and talk about the court directory. Like, take a stroll through the courthouse, okay? The different offices. Okay, those of you who know who your court altar is. So those of you who got the path map early on, I have changed the verbiage some for the new path mapping. But it's generally the same thing. So if you have questions, feel free to ask while we're going over this. If you already have your court altar, I want you to think about this. I want you to look at your own court, and for every position in that court, I want you to ask 4 questions. who sits here, what is their job, what falls under their jurisdiction, and when would I approach this office, okay? If you can answer these 4 questions for every position, you understand the basic structure of your court. This is getting into the nitty-gritty. Ready? The first position is going to be the center. The center. And on mine, it's not just the center. I have a large court altar. I have 8 positions on my court altar, my personal one. Some of you will have 5, 6, 4. You'll have different amounts. But generally, here we go. So the center, mine is north center, so top center. North center center is the judge's bench. Okay. So thinking about your court altar, and you can share if you want to, you don't have to. I don't share who's on my court altar, but that's personal preference. The judge's bench is the center, and it establishes the governing order of the court. The center does not automatically mean it's the most powerful figure. We're talking about position, not power. Okay? So in the courtroom, the judge sits at the bench because the office establishes order over those proceedings. So the center is the anchor of your court. When you formally open the entire court, your attention begins there. That is the person you address first in your court. If I use 7-day candles as representations of my figures on my court altar, so the first candle I would light would be, for me, my north center, my judge's bench, my authority. Okay? When you address your court, the center judge position anchors the proceedings. When you close your court, that position will be the last position that you will close. So you'll start from your center and work your way out. And then if you use candles like I do, you will extinguish the candles in the opposite order from whence you lit them. So your center will be the last one you put out. Okay? Hi! So I want you to write this down. Abby says hello in Spanish. I wonder why she's speaking Spanish. So y'all write this down, okay? Ready? The center. Alina says hello. Hi. The center of your court altar is your authority, your anchor, and your order. So, Julie, you're in here. Kelly, I think you're still in here. If one of you wants to share, you don't have to share your whole altar, your whole court altar, but if you want to share, give it for an example, who your center is, who your authority is. We'll use you for an example.
I can.
Oh yeah, Matt, I forgot. Kelly's is Matt. Julie.
I have a non-related question.
What?
Do your friends like bologna?
Nobody likes bologna. Y'all probably do like bologna. So, Matt is Kelly's authority. I think Kelly has 5 on her court altar. If I don't have it in front of me. I don't have my book where I do my court altars. I don't have it in front of me. So I think Kelly has 5 positions on her court altar. Matt is her authority. See? Oh, thank you. You'll never guess where I got it from. Matt will be Kelly's center. If you want to.
Girl.
That is her authority. That is going to be her governing position. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about when do you approach that authority, okay? We're going to take Matt for example. You would approach her when you're working with the full court. You're opening a formal court session. You're dealing with something involving multiple jurisdictions because they are the authority over everything, right? The whole court. You're seeking overall direction, or you're acknowledging the court as a whole. Just like you would in a regular courtroom. When do you talk? When do you talk to the judge in all of those situations? When you're addressing the full court, you're talking to the judge. When you're opening a formal court session, everybody stands. Here comes the judge. Same thing. See, we're going to get to that, Kelly. Let me write that down. That's from Kelly. I gotcha. I'll just go over an overview of that. Oh, I was just saying if one of you wanted to share who your authority was on your court altar, I was just going to use it as an example. So what warrants opening a full court? You know what? We're going to get to that in a minute. So that's your center. All of that's your center. Next is the gatekeeper, which is like the bailiff. I don't remember what section it is because I have like a template. But it'll say court altar and it'll tell what their position is. Bridget as an authority is it throws me off because I know she can be, like, she's a saint, but Bridget as an authority is really wild to me. You're wild, girl. Okay. Your second position is the gatekeeper. That's going to be your bailiff. I think this is like the easiest one. Everybody knows what a bailiff does, right? They maintain order, they guard access, they protect the integrity of the courtroom. That is what your gatekeeper does. So the gatekeeper is going to govern your threshold. So write this down. Ready? Gatekeeper is access plus threshold plus order. That's their job. What falls under gatekeeper jurisdiction? Questions involving what gets access to your spiritual space, what needs to stay out, what communication is permitted, what does not belong here, how do I maintain spiritual boundaries. That falls under your gatekeeper. And I don't generally tell people who is on my spiritual court. But I am going to tell you that my gatekeeper, is St. Patrick. St. Patrick, who ran all of the snakes out of Ireland. Yeah, St. Patrick is my gatekeeper. I'll give y'all that little tidbit. Don't be trying to use it against me because it'll backfire. Anyway, just kidding. No, I'm not. And your gatekeeper in the earlier versions of the Path Map, I think they were called your boundary guardian. Okay. And I keep my gatekeeper, my boundary guardian. This is my court. This is my court altar. My boundary guardian is going to go right outside the boundary. Right outside the boundary. And that's the position I put them in. And so, and there's a reason. They're symbolically standing at the courthouse door, okay? Not letting shit in. I'm trying not to curse. They're not letting things that aren't supposed to be there in. So before something reaches the inner court, it has to pass the threshold. This is why physical placement teaches function. Your gatekeeper is going to be at the threshold of your court to keep shit from getting in that's not supposed to be there. Okay? Okay. I'm going to make this distinction very clear. Okay? Gatekeeper does not mean you're constantly assuming something evil is trying to break into your court. Okay? Think about a regular court. It's always going to have a bailiff, even if nothing bad happens, right? Same concept. The point is order. Healthy boundaries exist even when nothing bad is happening. Your house has a front door, even when nobody's trying to break in it, correct? It has locks, even when nobody's trying to break in it. It's the same thing. It's a boundary issue, okay? Yikes. Next, I'm going to have to pee. Next is going to be the protector. The protector is not the same thing as the gatekeeper. A lot of people get this confused. Some of you might have in the earlier versions, it's called something else, I think. No, it may be called the protector. I don't know. Hi. Your protector is going to be like your courthouse security. Okay? I know it sounds kind of like a gatekeeper, but it's not. Your protector, gatekeeper controls the access to your court. And the protector provides defense. So the protector is the one who's fighting back. I cannot remember what I called it originally, but it wasn't the protector. I don't think it's witness. I think witness is something else. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. I usually keep here's my court. My boundary guardian is going to be here, front, right. My protector is going to be front, right on the court, right behind my gatekeeper. Okay, that's going to be my protector position. So your gatekeeper says you don't have permission to enter. The protector says there's an active problem. I'm responding. So they are related, but they aren't the same job. The protector's job is to get rid of the threat if it passes the threshold. Okay? So the protector is defense, safety, response. That's the protector's job. Okay, so let's do a quick check, okay? So make sure we're all on the same page. If somebody wanted if somebody wants an unwanted influence to be prevented from entering your spiritual space, who are you going to go to for that? Now we've went over the judge, the authority, we went over the gatekeeper, we went over the protector. So who are you going to go to when you're trying to prevent someone from coming into your spiritual space? That's going to be your gatekeeper. You're to prevent from coming into your spiritual space. By the way, this is what this is. Colita de Rana. So if somebody is already in your spiritual space and you feel like you are threatened or need defense, you're going to go to your protector. Defense, safety, response. Okay? Thank you. Okay. Are you still with me? Is everybody still with me? Are we learning? Is it too much? Let me know. Via, after we're done, I will go back and look at yours, and I will tell you who's in what position. It's okay, Hazel. If you've already gotten a path map with me, I do have this available in a workbook for you guys. It's fine. It's fine. Like I said, I have the workbook available for you guys that already have your court altar done. And if you want that, message me and I will email it to you. Okay. Kelly, the enforcer is going to be your protector. See, I shouldn't have did all the changes. I should have just stuck to it. But I wanted to give you guys all the information in your path mapping. Your enforcer is going to be your protector. Your boundary guardian is going to be your gatekeeper. Okay? Ready? Got it. Julie, same thing. Your enforcer. Your enforcer is going to be your protector. Your boundary guardian is going to be your gatekeeper. Okay, I'm trying to see. All right. And like I said, all of you may not have every one of these positions. All of these positions are not required. I'm just telling you about what all the positions are. Okay? Yes, Hazel, you did do a path map with me, so you should have a court altar listed in that path map. And if you message me later, I can give you the information on what position they are in and send you the email for the workbook if you want. Okay. Next, if you have an original path mapping done, one of the first path mappings done, this position is originally called the witness. Okay? In the new path mapping, it's called the messenger. And this position in a real life court is going to be like your court clerk. This is the person who has all the information. This is the person, it's fine. This is the person who carries the information between you and your court. They come in through dreams, symbolism, prayer, intuition, divination, patterns, and the messenger's job is communication. So if you have the original path mapping, this position is the witness originally. It's now called the messenger. Hi. Okay, so messenger, you can just put it in parentheses if you're writing this down. Witness is information plus communication plus delivery. Okay, they see, they note, and they tell somebody. All right, so that's the job of the messenger. Okay, so what do you ask the messenger? You ask, what do I need to know? What information am I missing? Help the truth become clear. Bring forward information relevant to the situation. Okay? And if you guys feel comfortable sharing in the comments, feel free. I'm not gonna police your practice because that's not my job. That's between you and your court altar. Okay, so I'm going to make a very important distinction. There is a messenger / witness position. There's also a counselor position on the court altar. Messenger and counselor are two different things. Okay? The messenger brings the information. The counselor helps you understand what to do with the information. So, the clerk, which is the messenger witness, has the information, knows the information. What does this position do? Goes to the counselor, attorney, and delivers the information, correct? So, the clerk delivers it to the attorney. And then your attorney says, this is what this means for this case. Okay? So your messenger is your witness. Everybody still with me? Am I making sense to you guys? Because I want to make sure that this makes sense to you. Making sure you're not getting all confused. I tried to do it in like a real world scenario. So okay, good. I'm glad. We've got so much. Originally this was going to be a YouTube series. The court altar was going to be a YouTube series. It was going to be a 4-part YouTube series. But here we are. And maybe I should start putting this stuff behind a paywall. But I like you guys and I want you guys to be informed. Next position is the counselor. And you think of the counselor as, wouldn't you? Oh, I should. I digress. The counselor is going to be your attorney. Okay? So, what is the job of the attorney? The attorney is advice, strategy, wisdom, decision-making, interpretation. You don't necessarily approach the counselor because you don't know what's happening. You may know exactly what's happening. Your problem is, what am I supposed to do about it? Okay? What am I supposed to do? That's the counselor's territory. Okay? So your counselor is advice, strategy, and wisdom. So, we'll make this distinction. You think your employer may be planning something, but you don't have enough information. Okay? You go to the messenger because you want information. You want them to tell you something. Okay? Now you have the information. You know what's going on, but you don't know whether you should confront it, document, save it, leave it. What should you do? That's when you go to your counselor. Okay? Information first, strategy second. It's going to storm here. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Okay? A lot of you who got path maps originally, that's pretty much where your court stopped, right? 5 members. And the only reason you guys, I stopped at 5 members originally is because path mapping takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of divination. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of reading. It takes a lot. Okay? It takes a lot. So I capped it off at those 5 positions for you guys originally. But now I'm like, is that fair to limit spirit if they want to be heard? So the next few positions we're going to talk about, you may not necessarily have them if you had the original path mapping, but Keeper of Hope. Oh, yes, you only had 4. I think you only had 4 because you have an ancestor position on your court altar, and not a lot of people do. Like, your ancestors were very vocal about. See, this is how I know you're Hispanic, because your ancestors were women, correct? And they were very vocal about being part of that court altar. So you have a maternal position on your court altar that other people don't have. And see, that's why I'm saying all of these, all of your court altars are so different. That's why I'm giving you all of the information, whether you have these spots or not. Okay? So the next position is called the left hand position, and that's going to be on the left hand side of your court altar, okay? And their job is interpretation and deliberation. So interpretation, discernment, understanding, nuance, wisdom, and this is going to be your holy wisdom position. Okay? The left-hand position is, their job is to discern, understand, and interpret. Okay? So that's going to be your specific position. Okay. So, what is the when does this left hand position come to play? It's before action happens, and making sure that somebody actually understands what they're dealing with. So that is your Holy Wisdom position. I do, like I said, I have 8 positions on my court altar. I have all of these positions on my court altar. I do have a Holy Wisdom position. And I can tell you this, I use this type of candle for all of my positions except for my left hand path position. Okay, let's say this is the court altar. I have north center, which is my highest authority. I have center, which is my baneful authority, because y'all already know how to do. If you want all the positions, message me. Message me. Okay, so this is your court altar, right? You've got your boundary, you've got your protector, right? You've got, I have my north center, my top center, that's my authority. I have my middle center, which is my baneful authority, okay? I have my witness here in the middle, right? Dead center, south center. Okay. My Holy Wisdom is a taper, a white taper candle, or a baby blue taper candle if you're going wisdom. Okay. That's a wisdom position. Taper candle. And it is on the left hand side, just slightly left of my north center. So left and down just a little bit is where my Holy Wisdom sits on my court altar. Again, you can position them any way you want. I just always think, no, I do not. I do not show my court altar to anyone. No. You can position yours any way you want, any way that feels good to you. I just know that for myself, my authority is always going to be center, top center. I use a taper candle because your wisdom candle, no matter who you're addressing in the court, if you're only talking to the authority or if you're open in a full court, whatever, your wisdom candle, yes, Hazel, yes. Your wisdom candle is always going to be lit. And to me, it's just much easier to replace a taper candle. Honestly, that's what it is. Because it's a taper candle, it doesn't have the glass around it also, so it's more illuminating, like illuminating wisdom is also why I use a taper candle, because it's going to illuminate, it's going to spread the wisdom through your whole court, illuminate your whole court. If you purchase a court altar map, it is in the workbook is included when you get that done. Right now, I'm just telling you everything, and this is free. As a form of divination for, yes. Yes. Your court altar is not the same as working with your deities. And the workbook explains all of that. This is completely different than your devotional and veneration. I will tell you though, Diamond, if you purchase this, I will have to email you a questionnaire. You'll fill out the questionnaire and we'll figure out who your court altar is, and you'll get the workbook with your report. Okay. So your left hand is going to be discernment, understanding, and interpretation. If you've already gotten your court altar from me, a path mapping with the court altar, message me and I'm going to email you the workbook because you already have it. Unless you want to buy it separately, but if you already you've already gotten the report. And do you guys think I should charge for the workbook? I don't know. Anyway, see, this is why I'm bad at things. Because I'm like, I want to teach people and I want them to be able to learn. But then they're like, oh, you should, like, my friends were like, you're not charging enough for your stuff. And I'm like, well, I want it to be available for everybody. I want everybody to have access to it. So, if you guys have already gotten your path map and you have your court altar and you want the workbook and you think that you should pay for it, you just let me know. So, when do you approach the left hand? You approach the left hand when you're in situations like, I don't know whether I'm seeing this clearly. I need deeper understanding. Something feels off, but I can't identify why. I need separate intuition. I need to separate intuition from fear. I need to understand what's underneath the situation. Those are all left-hand questions. Left hand here has nothing to do with the baneful work. It's discernment, understanding, and interpretation. And again, holy wisdom. That's why we use a taper candle in that position. Your right hand is your execution and enforcement. On the original, in my position, I don't call it execution and enforcement. I call it I can't tell you what I call it without giving away who's in that position, but it's like the domination position, like, yeah, I'm gonna get you position. So the right hand, if the left hand says understand this, the right hand says act. Okay, so the right hand represents execution, movement, enforcement. Okay, ready? Right hand is action, movement, and execution. Who's on my... Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. My right hand position is... Don't F with her. See, Via, yours is a little different because you have an like I said, you have a ancestor position that others don't have because your abuelitas and your tias are very Mexican. I don't know any way the others. If you're Mexican, you know. So your left hand is going to prevent reckless action and your right hand prevents endless analysis, and you need both of those. Okay. So we got center, authority, gatekeeper, boundary, protector, defense, messenger, witness, information, counselor, advice, left hand, discernment, right hand, action. We all there, right? Okay. I'm trying to we're about to get to Kelly's question in a minute. So next we're going to talk about the jurisdiction in particular. This is like one of the most important things you need to know about your court is determining your jurisdiction. Before you light anything, before you petition anybody, before you pull 70-11 tarot cards, ask yourself, what am I actually trying to accomplish? Okay? So here's your jurisdiction formula. If you're looking for information, you're going to, hi. If you're looking for information, you're going to ask the messenger, your witness, right? If you're looking for advice, you're going to ask your counselor. If you're looking for discernment, you're going to ask your left-hand seat. If you're looking for action, you're going to ask your right-hand seat. If you're looking for boundary, you're going to ask your gatekeeper. If you're looking for defense, you're going to ask your protector, okay? And if it's a full, complex, multi-jurisdictional situation, you're going to bring your authority and the full court, okay? That's your court. So, here we go. Multiple jurisdictions. Ready? I know it's so much. Does anybody need a break? Are we still here? What? Oh, we've been here for an hour. Okay. We'll start out by saying this. You do not call the whole court for everything. You do not call the whole court for everything. Okay? You do not. You do not. You do not call the whole court for everything. Here we go. Exactly. Here we go, Kelly. You ready? This is going to answer your question. Not every situation belongs neatly to one office. Okay? Real life isn't neat. It isn't tidy. It isn't perfect. Okay, so imagine this. You say, I think somebody is lying on me and I'm worried the situation could hurt me and I don't know what to do. Okay, break that down. I think someone is lying to me. So that would be messenger territory, right? Because we need information. I need to know whether I'm interpreting things correctly. That's going to be your left hand. That's going to be discernment, right? I don't know what to do. Right? You don't know what to do about the situation. That's going to be your counselor. That's their job. I'm worried about harm. You're worried about that they could hurt you. That's going to be your protector. You already have a perceived threat. Okay? The threat's already perceived. That's going to be your protector. Okay? You identified the different issues inside the case and assigned it to a jurisdiction. Okay. Again, you don't call the full court for everything. Your DoorDash order being 10 minutes late does not require full spiritual grand jury. Okay? So what you do is you use the smallest appropriate jurisdiction first. And that keeps your court clear. I do keep a little notebook of my court petitions, my court altar petitions. I do suggest that, a spiral one, or one that you can 3-ring binder type. Okay. Yes. There's certain situations you can use everyone. Like if you need the full court, if you need to know, if you need information, advice, discernment, action, boundary, defense, and you need the authority to rule on that, you light up the full court, baby. Light it up. Exactly. So now we're going to talk about consultation versus petition. About how you consult the court versus petitioning the court, okay? Sometimes you're not asking the court to do anything. That's petition is asking them to do something. What you're really looking for is information or advice, and that is a consultation. For example, you might be saying, what am I missing? Help me understand. What should I do? What should I consider? What is the wisest response? You are consulting the court. Okay? A petition is different. A petition says, I'm requesting action. I need this done. Okay? For example, you say, protect me from this influence. Prevent this thing from entering my space. Help move this situation towards resolution. Bring a hidden information forward. That is a petition. Okay? So when you're preparing to present this case, yes, you're consulting the counselor. You're consulting the counselor. You light it up. You light it up and say, let's have a chat. Whoever your counselor position is, let's have a chat. Okay? Very good, Laura. Very good. Gold star. A++. Okay, so before you bring up anything words are hard. Before you bring anything to the court, you want to ask yourself these questions, okay? What happened? What do I know? What am I assuming? What don't I know? What am I actually asking for? And whose jurisdiction is it? Okay? You want to ask those six questions before you even bring a case to your altar. Now let's talk about facts versus assumptions. this is a big thing. So let's say your friend didn't answer your text. That's the fact, right? And so you're thinking to yourself, my friend didn't answer my text. She must be mad at me. So the fact is, she didn't answer your text. The assumption is she's mad at you. Well, how do you know she didn't answer your text? So, that is fact. She didn't answer your text. She's angry with me. That's assumption. So, you can say, she didn't answer my text. That's the fact. Someone told me that she said blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now we have information, but we still need to evaluate the source. So, it's hearsay. It's not an assumption. You need to consider where the information came from and go from there. So you're preparing your case. You have a presiding authority, an enforcer, a witness, a boundary guardian, and an aftercare. Aftercare is going to be your healing current. Your counselor there is going to be, how many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your counselor position there is going to be lumped in, because with those 5 positions, your counselor is going to be your presiding authority in that one. They're the ones you're presenting to. If you venerate one that is on my court, do I go to the court altar to talk or their specific altar? It depends on what you're doing. Are you talking to them for devotional veneration, or are you talking to them because you need them to do something for you? So a veneration devotional altar is going to be for venerating that. So if they are on your court altar, I would go to the court for them for that. Yes. All right. We're going to start with building your court altar. That was a lot of information, and now we're getting to actually building it. Again, if you have questions, if you got an earlier path map where I limited it to 5 spaces for your court altar, you can message me and we can, if you want a full court altar, we can do that. Or if you want to just use what you have, and I can tell you who is what in that situation. But this is going to be available as well. Okay. Hello. So, the altar is your courthouse. Ready? The objects on the altar represent the office and the court members occupying them. I use 7-day candles. I wish I had one out here so I could show you. I draw on mine with Sharpies, like symbols and stuff. Your court altar does not have to look like mine. Like I said, I have 8 positions on mine because I am that person. Okay. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't need, you don't need enormous statues. You don't need 11 candles. You don't need to take up an entire wall. What matters is that when you look at it, you understand the structure. Okay, so choosing your space. You can make a portable one where you can just close it all up when it's not in use, or you can make a stationary one. Okay. There was not 4711, hush. It's not even out here where you can see it. So, hi. Yes. So, you can have a portable one. You can keep it in like a little box. Okay. Or not a little box. I mean, whatever. It depends on the size of your candles. So you can use a small table, a shelf, a dresser, a cabinet, part of a bookcase, a dedicated section of another appropriate space. But if you do, excuse me, if you are doing a shared space, say, I have a metal image under my court altar, like this. I have a metal image and it has like the justice scales on it, and my court altar sits on that. Okay. Nothing that's not on your court altar needs to be in that space. You need to have a space. For real. She don't. This space should be somewhere you can maintain reasonably well. And this is very important. Ready? Build for the life you actually have. Okay? If you have cats that believe every altar object belongs on the floor, you, Elizabeth, just exactly what she said. Maybe don't put 12 statue court altar where cats can reach it. You know? In a space where cats are. If you have small children, consider candles and breakables. If you live with people who don't respect your practice, you may want something private, something that can be put away. Okay? You do not have to have, when court's not in session, you do not have to have everything out. You don't have to. Practicality is not disrespect. Okay, let's talk about the permanent and the temporary court altars. You like I said, you don't have to have it set up permanently. You have two perfectly workable models. You can have a permanent one. It remains established. You maintain it. You approach it regularly. Or you have the portable one that you keep everything together in a dedicated box or container. And when you're ready to work, you set it up. You open court. You do your work. You adjourn. And you pack everything away. If you're using candles, make sure you are using fire safety. Don't pack the candles away while they're still hot. And then you close the box and you put it away, right? So what can you use to represent your court members? You can use statues, prayer cards, printed images, small framed pictures, icons, written names, symbols, words are hard, individual candles, or corresponding objects that are associated with that figure. A $3 printed image does not create a $3 relationship, okay? Money does not determine legitimacy. You can build a completely functional court without spending $11 million. You go to Dollar Tree. You get a bunch of these, $1.25 each. There you go. Okay, you can draw symbols on them to correspond to who that is. Yes. Yes, you can use that. You can use those correspondences. Position matters more than price. The important part is that you know this is authority. This is gatekeeper. This is messenger. This is counselor. This is this. This is this. What seat they sit in. Your altar should teach you the structure every time you look at it. Like, you should be able to look at it and be like, this is this seat. This is this seat. Okay, your physical layout. Okay, we went over this when we were going through the positions. I have 2 positions of authority. I have my north center authority, and then I have my center authority, painful authority. Okay, that's so your central authority occupies the judge's bench. I'm going to draw you a picture. So in the early path maps, I actually put the diagram in the path map, like at the end of the path map. I stopped doing that because when it would get sent, like it would email, it would like shift. And so it would kind of got all jumbly sometimes. Okay, so I messed that up. Let me find something to write on. Okay, so this is gonna be, this is going to be your court altar, right? That's your space. So you're gonna have authority, center. You're gonna have your gatekeeper, which is your boundary. Okay, and then you're going to have your protector, right on the inside above the gatekeeper, and then you're going to have your messenger, which is your witness. South center. You're going to have your counselor, right hand side here, and then you're going to have your I'm trying to remember where mine's at. Your left here, your right here, left and right. And then, like I said, I have an authority here, and so here this is my wisdom taper. Okay. I have a lot of positions on mine. And I don't show mine to people, so, or I would, and I don't have enough things here to accurately display it, but okay, so once you have your positions, and you can position them any way you want to, I just say your authority should always be top center position, and your boundary should always be outside the threshold. That's my 2 things. Once you have established those positions on your court altar where they're going to be placed, leave them in that same position. If you have a portable one, when you set it up, put them back in the same position. Do not be rearranging everything because you think one statue is prettier beside the other one. We're not styling a bookshelf, okay? These are authority figures. You want to leave them in those positions. Okay. So, there are items that are like shared items. Like I said, I use the scale of justice image to put them on. That's a shared item. You can also open your court with a written court prayer that you display on your court altar. You can have a journal. You can have appropriate incense for that. For me, for a court altar, I would use frankincense, myrrh, or copal incense. Okay. That's my personal. You can have a glass of water there on your court altar. That's up to you. Okay. Any questions so far? That was the first, like when I was doing the YouTube, when I was planning on doing the YouTube series, that was the first session. And it's an hour and a half, an hour long session. That would, all that information was the first session. Okay. So, any questions? Ask now. You know what? I probably will. I probably will. And I will put it in my BIO, the LINK to the YT, so you guys can find it. So that was the first session. You know what? I think I will upload them there. And I will do it in, I'm going to do it in sessions because that was an hour and a half that we just did that first session. They're long. It's a lot of information. Okay, so we are going to go over, Kelly was talking about when do you petition the whole court. Again, you petition the whole court when all of those seats are needed. Okay? If you feel like the situation warrants all of those seats being open, then open it. Present your consultation to your altar, your court altar. Wait for them to give you a response. Okay, you can talk to each of them. You can read flames, you can read wax, you can do tarot to determine, you can divinate whatever way you want to divinate to talk to them. And if they give you the yes, this is something we need to address, then you petition the whole, then you can continue with your petition to the whole court and say, let's say Michael is your authority. Say, Michael, I bring to you this case, and this is the situation, blah, blah, blah. And let's say, I don't know, Uriel is your holy wisdom. Archangel Uriel. This is what the wisdom that I'm asking for you. But you know, you make a petition, and you petition each part of the court that you think you need. Yours is yes, it very much was. It was. But all these positions are in there. Just okay, so how did you guys find session 1? There's still so much more. How did you find session 1? Was it enjoyable? Was it too much? Did you learn things? Give me feedback. Let me know. Good. Okay. So that was session 1. Probably every Wednesday we'll do learning sessions. So we'll finish up with the court altar. We'll finish up with the court altar in the next couple weeks, and then you guys let me know what you want to know about. I will be glad to teach you guys things, but let me know what you want to learn about, okay?